Come on, you little fucker.
That's not the first thing we need to be on.
Oh, we have an excellent connection. We are now live on YouTube. Finally. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning and hello to everybody. Welcome to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter, a podcast where we are drawing and inking in split screen to make a comic book called Turbo Pit Fighter, sci-fi post-apocalyptic love story. I am showing a concert poster that I'm trying to finish, and I'm a little frustrated because we haven't heard back from one of the bands whether they're playing the show or not, and I'm the guy that's got to make the posters. So this is for January 23rd. We're going to be playing at Otto's Shrunken Head. We got the Psychedelic Cats, the Tobin Lions, and my band is the Von Ghouls. And here's this character I drew.
Sweet.
And I have a little spot left over here. And we've invited a band called the Alphabet City, and we're waiting to hear back from them. It's a little 3-piece. I don't know if they're like exactly punk or garage, and they fit in with the bill so much, but they're just an opener anyway. So if they want to go, then we put them in either here or here, and then I got to put the venue in and the date. So I'm just waiting on that, and usually when you do a poster, you want to have it a month ahead of time. It's already the 28th, and the show's for the 23rd. So what the F, man?
Yeah, this is the F-bomb episode, everybody.
These bands are so unreliable,
as all artists are.
How was your Christmas? Did you get everything from Santa that you wanted?
I did. Everything went well. I actually have 5 mangas heading my way. Supposedly tomorrow they're going to be here. I got one of those gift cards to Barnes and Nobles for Christmas from a loved one. And of course, the first thing that popped in my head was like, man, I should investigate some manga. And I found 5 pretty decent ones. 2 I'm very familiar with. I just don't own copies, so I'm kind of happy to have volume 1 of these 2 titles. But the first one was called Booty Royale, which was a suggestion when I was visiting Dan Snoke back at XPX October last year. And like right when I was like wrapping up we were at his place, and I was wrapping up to get going. He's like, "Oh, I got to show you this manga I got, man. You're gonna love it." And of course, when he showed it to me, I was like, "This thing's amazing." So I think you're gonna dig it too, Jake. So I will be sharing that next week. I was sharing some of the spoils of the Christmas war. But other than that, nice and quiet with the wife. So
Booty Royale coming soon.
And 4 other titles. So I've been really hankering down on getting my manga update education, as well as anime too. I just feel like it's kind of like a necessary thing for understanding what is going on out there. But it's all good.
Good to keep tabs. I feel like there's always been like a friendly competition between the West and manga, Japanese inspired comic art, and the West is losing, right?
That means I think we lost. I think you have to just start saying we've lost because the amount of distance between us and them. The thing that really disturbs me and really makes me sad about Western comics, both American and European, is the lack of translation of the comics to cartoons. I just don't, for the life of me, I mean, I could spend the rest of my life just being enthralled with manga, reading manga, and then seeing an animated series or movie of it. Yeah, I could the rest of my life. I mean, that's how much is out there. But I could spend, I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but I could spend 6 months doing that. And I would have to dig into not only cartoons but real life movies here in the West that were assigned to a comic book. You know what I mean? Like read the Watchmen movie and cartoon. But in Japan, it's almost like par for the course, you know? And then the other thing too, they are so much more sexually liberated than us that
Yeah.
it's a very it's a I will be openly honest that it's kind of like a relief, but then it's super creepy, you know, kind of like reading some of
Well,
it or finding some of this stuff and reading it. So
yeah, when I went to when I was in Japan, I couldn't believe the stuff on the shelves. I mean, there's different stores for different age groups. You could tell the like really adult bookshops or manga shops because um, there's nothing on the books, right? They're just like the spines are blank, it's just like red spines at every book on the shelf, so or it's very minimal. It's not, eye catching at all. And there is depictions of underage stuff. And
well,
it is maybe you want to argue that it is healthier to have that in fiction, and because in real life they have virtually zero abuse of that kind compared
well,
to
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. Um, I think it's more um, when I say like sexual liberation, I'm not going for the hardcore. I'm literally just talking about like one of the novels. I can't remember what it's called that I have coming. Literally has in the title. The title's here. I'll even read it to you. Let me just over there. And it actually I bought it just because of this. It's called J.K. Haru is a sex worker in another planet. And I saw like the teaser pages somewhere else and was just completely like, holy smokes, like this is so in line with what's going on in the real world as a topic being discussed than anything else. And it was not gratuitous. It's not gratuitous. It's just this female character is a sex worker on another world, and like in the first chapter, she has her life and she goes places and has friends, and then all of a sudden she's engaged to have a sexual encounter with somebody, and she does it because it's her job, and it's like what the hell is going on? That's liberating, I think, more for younger people to see this kind of conversation happening in their fantasy. Like it's not even a autobiographical type comic. This is just pure fantasy, So I'm really excited to see what that's all about. Like, so
and what is a book like that rated?
13 plus. I think I could go back to Barnes and Nobles and see it. But there's another title that I didn't get because I did see like a pretty decent amount of the pages somewhere else. And it starts off really sexy, but then it goes to like the tentacle stuff and the body horror. And it's called Arrow Ninja Scroll. And that was for sale on Barnes and Nobles. Now
Right.
there's no genitals being shown. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like even in Japan, they have to block out their genitals. And they
That's
do
for
it
a
real.
genital audience.
So, it's just aside from the sexual liberation, it's it's just discouraging that we can't pull resources in this country together to move from uh, making a really decent story in a comic book format and then creating a comparable animation for it. Now, I have been finding some people out there doing their own little like 45-second to a minute animated teasers, using their pages and the the motion graphics type of animation. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about dealing with these two forms of art, comic book art form and the animation art form. So I don't know, America and the Europeans might be losing me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a friendly rivalry. I wouldn't want to give up my Western comics. I don't read manga that much, honestly. I appreciate the art form, and I see the effect it has on Americans, including all my students. But it's it's a different culture. The repeatability um, of just the Japanese culture in everything they do. It's very striking. You can see it in the clothing. You can see it in the food. You can see it in everything. And you can see it in the comics. They like it to conform to certain conventions of art and storytelling, and that's its own visual language, and it's great, and it's won over the hearts and minds of Americans for decades now. So you can go back to Speed Racer. um, I have a whole history of it that I talk about in the course of teaching. But um, I still love Western comics better. I'll give me John Buscema any day.
Yeah, but that stuff's already made, Jake. I'm talking about stuff being produced now. Like I understand, like I pretty much re-own, like because I sold my collection in the early 2000s. I'm probably like maybe 10 or 15 titles away from having everything that I would just want to own. But I'm talking about like finding and getting into new stuff, finding people that are out there that are younger than us that are like anxiously trying to figure out how to make it as an artist using the art form of comic books to tell a story. I got to throw shout outs to damn it, where's the go away, um oh, what was he? Level 9 Drow is on um, YouTube, and I've been watching him do the speed pages of his work. Absolutely fascinating, absolutely amazing work. Totally has the manga edge to it, but is definitely a Westerner going about it. And he's on like page 27, and I just posted in the comments that asking when he's going to put that title out, because I totally want to get him, her, but because you don't see the face. So, and I hate to judge people by their hands, but very, very excited for this individual. Um, you know, uh, 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 to put something together and also lean into the manga styling. So, what I'm just, your Buscemas and your all these old head kind of stuff, that's easy. It's all there. It's done. I'm talking about the people putting their stuff out.
Yeah, well, we have a podcast for that. People should check it out. If we see something good, I'll grant you that it's fewer and farther between than it was in the heyday. Um, that's the friendly rivalry. So it's all good, and I just don't. I think I'm just too set in my ways to change.
Yeah, you're old.
And yeah, so it's always good to hear about new stuff. I try to keep an open mind with the manga and the storytelling and everything, but something I crave is I look for conformity. I look for a certain type of conformity, like like the Bernie Wright's and Frazetta style, Tim Vigil. That's my holy grail. But manga's good. You never know what you're gonna like. I've seen some comics that caught my eye. There's always something to it, and we're really backed up actually on our flip throughs, so we should be getting back to that at some point. But yeah, speaking, you mentioned comments. We have some comments. Good morning to Raz 55.
I was just reading them. Yeah, go ahead, go.
Good morning, he says. Long time no sleaze. It says, we didn't lose the friendly competition to the Japanese because their stuff doesn't appeal to countless millions of Westerners. Mainly, though, because Western publishers have sold creators out. The gatekeeping at mainstream companies. We talk about that. The perpetuation of DEI, ESG in the companies. Even Fantagraphics has gone so far left that their work is like manga hasn't won over this American's heart and mind. That being said, no, I haven't read contemporary American comics in years. Yeah, we're all going through the same thing. We're noticing this this introduction into the marketplace. Manga sales have exceeded that of American-made comics or Western-made comics, I guess, in America, and so that's it reminds me of the British invasion. When the Beatles came, America was enthralled with the British invasion. You have the animals and the
Yardbirds.
Yardbirds, and there's countless names. It's some of my favorite music of all time. But that's the marketplace. That's capitalism, and that's actually creativity. So it might have to do with the output that they're putting product out on the regular, and they have a supporter base that supports that and allows them to do it. You know how many Americans are really talented, but they're underemployed. They're not able to pursue their craft. They have to waitress on the weekends or whatever, supplement their income. So all that stuff, which we talk about pretty regularly. So yeah, good morning to everybody on YouTube. Feel free to chime in. He's still going. He says Buck Owens, Red Sovine. I don't know why he's mentioning some country western artists. Is this like everybody's putting in their musical tastes?
That's nice.
If his musical tastes are Red Sovine, I haven't heard that in a while. I had some Red Sovine albums. Buck Owens is like I got a tiger by the tail. It's plain to see. It's like really old timey, like Hank Williams old stuff. Anyway, so let me talk about my Christmas gift. I got a couple of things. My daughter gave me this, and this is for the phone. It's a podcasting kit, I guess.
Oh, look at that.
But unfortunately, my phone doesn't have this.
Yeah, because it's like a 1916 phone, right?
My phone, yeah, I got the iPhone 14, and they're up to
29.
they're up 17 now. And it's so annoying that they keep changing the port, and some people are very like conspiratorial about why they do that.
Yeah, to get you to buy a new phone.
Right. Well, no.
Change plans. Change your plan. Your carrier.
Well, you gotta get everything new.
Exactly.
Right. And sometimes they say, well, this one gives you faster throughput. I don't know about that. They said that back when we were putting in the lightning cable. Oh, it's faster throughput. Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know if I can get this set up. Then I'll be able to. These are clip-on mics, and they're pretty nice. I assume that they're high volume and they really capture everything. So I'm gonna try to get that thing. I'm gonna try to get this going. Actually, I wonder if this is, we're doing this live on the air.
Oh boy.
No, this is, yeah, this is a different thing. So, never mind. But I'll see if I can get the little adapter. If not, I'll just have to keep this for my next phone or something. I also want to see if I can get the adapter. I can connect this to my laptop and use this instead of my Yeti mic, which means if I have a clip-on mic, then every time I turn my chair around, you will not hear any reduction in volume. This is just like, I think, a dollar store thing, but I got a mug warmer, and it keeps the mug kind of warm, but through conduction, it heats up your whole cup. So it's, I don't know, I'm trying it out, and my tea is still kind of getting not that warm. What else did I get? I got, well, the other cool thing I got was I got a pair of speakers. That was my big gift. So I'm going to upstairs. I'm going to upgrade my speakers, and I got a good a set of Victrola is the brand. They're very high rated in New York Times consumer buys, and so I'm gonna be, but they're just bookshelf speakers, so they're not that big. So I'm gonna be hooking those up later and playing some records. Can't wait for that. What else did I get? I forgot what else I got. It's escaping my mind, but as we as I remember, I'll come back to it. So here I got your artwork. I want to say on the overall, the you got to watch when the grays are growing without the
Yeah.
dynamism.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is going to print like until I actually print it out, until we actually print it out. But on this page, it's fine because I'm going to go in and lasso
That's right.
these
Exactly.
dukes on this
Exactly.
top. I'm also going to be spreading it out.
So you see how that helped me out, or you and me, but because the fact that you were able to kind of go and prep the pages in a template way, and then give me that information, that's a great help because I knew that going in that that was coming down the line. So I just purposely gave it an even keel because I didn't want anything to be stronger or lesser because you'll make that happen by lassoing and doing that in post edit. So I
Well,
think it
that's
works
what I'm going.
great. I think it's
Yeah, I
great.
mean, I got to jump in and do that now.
Cool.
Unfortunately, I think I just lost all my work for this session because now Photoshop is bugging out on me. So
Bugging.
we'll
We're
try that again. But I
bugging.
have the file now, and it's a simple matter. We'll go back in and do this. Yeah, this is the first year I didn't get a whole bunch of clothes because I'm so like stuffed up with like long sleeve shirts and stuff. I'm so backed up. So I think we're finally, and I stopped getting like, my daughter's like t-shirts and stuff. We're all just so backed up on all that stuff. It's crazy. You want to know something, something, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I lost my wallet on December 3rd. I had over $100 in cash in it, but more importantly, my credit cards, my driver's license,
Oh,
everything was in there.
God.
My medical card, everything was in there. And you know what was in there? My gift certificate for
No,
comic book store.
Newberry Comics.
Yes, my Newberry
No,
gift certificate is lost at sea. And
no.
whoever found my wallet not only got the cash. Now, credit to them. They didn't try charging any of my cards, which is nice. I have two credit cards, and they left those alone. There was never any attempts, which is nice. Which it means it might have been found by a kid or something, but um, they hopefully they didn't throw out that gift card. Hopefully they're using that. There was over, um, I had it for like 2 years, and it was $200, and I only had spent like maybe like $70 of it. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Wait for your
Um,
brother. Wait for your brother to give you another one.
I know if I drop a hint, he'll probably give me one, but I don't have anything coming up till my birthday or next Christmas. So, and I gotta drop the hints sometime during the year. Um, yeah. So that's a goner. I was in Newbury, couple maybe 2 weeks ago, and or a week ago, and it was really really crowded for Christmas. And you know they like everybody knows, like these franchise mall comic stores are horrendously bad. They have 2 racks of comics in the whole place. It's got to be like 2,000 square feet, and they have only like 2 racks of comics, and they're very poorly kept. You have to crouch over, and they're like they have like miscellaneous M, miscellaneous S, miscellaneous T, and there's these little tabs you can go looking for, like Justice League or whatever, but it's just awful. And most of the stuff they sell is goddamn plushies and toys in boxes, and right in the front when you walk in, these 2 ginormous racks of manga. So this fits exactly what we're talking about. um we also have Raz talking about he loves the Dead Boys and Fear.
Oh yeah.
um I love the Dead Boys, Midwest punk,
Hell
Stiff
yeah.
Vader. um Yeah, and Ain't It Fun? What a great song. We were jamming on Ain't It Fun a couple weeks ago. Fear is kind of, I think they're like a one-trick pony, right? They have
Yeah.
they're like Beef Bologna and Living in the City, and they don't have too many hits, but they're a great punk band, and the surviving singer does a lot of like interviews. He talks about like the history a lot. Of course, they were famous for appearing on Saturday Night Live, and
Yeah.
causing
I
an
just I
outrage.
just watched that a couple months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, the Ramones. So Daryl's here. Daryl Grant is here.
Daryl.
Um, Ramones they're a peppy band. Love the Ramones. Short songs. Sleaze you guys later. Keep up the great work. So yeah, checking in on the comments. If anybody's watching this, feel free to chime in. What is your favorite music? I think Kurt is gonna say his favorite music is like you like the Smiths and all that kind of stuff. And was that right, or was it the
Well,
Smiths?
I don't
I
go.
love it.
I enjoy. I'm a my favorite band, number one of all time since I was 14 years old, is the Church, which is a Australian band. Um, and yeah, I'm a prog slash space like slash
Hawkwind stuff.
yeah, but it's like romantic in a sense, or surrealist. Like the lead singer, Steve Kilbey, I just love the lyricism of his songs. It's almost like he took what Bowie was doing, where it's this mismashing of lines of words to kind of create imagery. Um, and so yeah, and the band itself is just great. It has 2 guitarists, Peter Kops and Marty Wilson Piper, who are adversarial in a lot of ways in their
What's the genre?
songs. Yeah, it's well, the genre is I mean they were actually billed with goth, and their first U.S. European tour was opening for Bauhaus, but that ended quickly when there was a backstage battle of egos between him, Stephen Kilby, who's the lead singer of the church and founding member, and of course Peter Murphy for Bauhaus. So they ended up not doing that, but yeah. But I love. I'm a also a I'm a club kid. So from like 1988 to 98, I pretty much spent almost every Thursday to Saturday night at a club. Philadelphia, there was a traveling DJ set. Josh Wink and King Britt would go to a different club every Tuesday night in Philly. So I did that for like 6 years or so. And so I love trip hop, house music. I listen to trip hop every day, all day when I'm working in my studio.
Yeah, I like that. I like some trip hop. I don't know too many bands except for Portishead is one of my biggies.
Massive Attack, baby.
Yeah.
Greatest band ever next to the church. But
Well, okay, so it's good. It's good to share musical influences every once in a while. We know that music is so important when you're doing your artwork to listen to something. Have something on that you can groove to. Sometimes I was doing that concert poster last night, and when I looked at, I was listening to my favorite band of all time is this LA punk band called the Muffs. These guys, and I was listening. I found, like, I got this free Apple Music trial that they gave me for like 3 months, and probably a lot of people got that recently. So I found this demo recordings that they had, and I was listening to those while I was doing this graphic for this concert poster. I'll show it again. And it's funny because when I was looking at we're looking at it in the morning, like the songs come into your head. You have that, like, that relation, to the songs you were listening to as you were drawing the art. Isn't that weird, the way that it like carries over like that?
yeah,
Or sometimes, like, if you're watching a movie or something while you're doing some art, and then you're looking at the art, you always remember that movie, right?
yeah.
That's the way it works. So we have these I guess etched memories, that go along when you're making something. I'll never forget. But yeah, love music. I love the punk. I love the short poppy punk. My band is like garage punk. It's a little like fuzzed out or a little keyboarded out. We get the Farfisa sound. But I love so many types of music. It's not funny.
Yeah, there's really nothing I don't like. Like I got pulled down a rabbit hole. There was a video, like immediately I clicked it on YouTube last week, and it was this person's top 10 female leads or solo artists in the mid 60s that were not fronting any bands or anything, and they're charting singles that were, radically designed, constructed even for their time. So I was like completely enamored. Didn't know most of the female artists, but it was that
I think I saw
that's
that.
the birth of like prog or psych rock. Like
Was
you
that the one
mentioned.
with Sharon Tandy?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, you
I
did
think
see it,
I
because I
saw
was
it.
going to
Yeah.
show you the link, but I was like, he'll probably see it. But wasn't that really good? Like,
Well, I jotted a couple of those down
me
for
too.
my annual CD, but I knew about some of the good
Oh,
ones. I
you
knew
would,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, Sharon Tandy was South African. She was just amazing. I don't know, a force of nature. Where the hell did she come
Yeah.
from?
Where did she
And
go?
well, she died, but
I
I think I have everything she ever did. And she's got this ballad called "Stay with Me, Baby."
Yeah.
Hurry Hurry Choo Choo is a great song. Um, and just a really soulful singer. And the backup band, the Fleur de Lis. I did not know that the Fleur de Lis
Yes.
were like a session band, and they were
Yeah.
doing like a whole bunch of other stuff at the same time. Um, but the same thing with like Jimmy Page.
Yep.
You find out that Led Zeppelin was backing up all these female vocalists like
Yep.
Peggy Lee and stuff. Um, so those are great. I wonder if I got that in my feed because you watched it, or vice versa.
Are you watching? Are you watching the? Are you logged into the Turbo Pit Fighter channel?
Of course, I watched.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
I
That was
listened to
probably
it
why.
on
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
but I also I put on all kinds of garage rock stuff. There's Girls in the Garage is like a 13 volume set from Romulan Records that came out. That was compiling all of these classic or obscure girl groups, and that's the soundtrack of my life right there. Anyway, that's so interesting. The the it does fall into you know garage genre is these female fronted bands. Sometimes they're all female bands actually. But it was very different for the time, and a lot of these bands had a hard time getting airplay just because they're women.
Yeah, I think
And
that the biggest thing though that was, it was not only about the music you were making, it was the music you were presenting. So if you were something you could sell to the teenagers, because the mid, the early 60s is the boom of the economic bracket of teenagers being born. So that was a whole marketplace where teenagers were having disposable income, and it was rivaling their parents. And so the Elvis was the one that really kind of ushered in the marketability of a handsome young man swinging hips, rocking tunes, and you're making mad money.
yeah, well, they say the number one you know record on the album charts is always driven by 13 and 14-year olds,
Yep.
because they have the most disposable income from their allowance or whatever, and they buy music at a rate no other demographic does. But the but times have changed. They
Yeah.
those fickle kids have turned to from rock to rap. And you never know, like sometimes there's a crossover coming from country, or there's something some soundtrack, or a ballad or whatever. You never know what could go big. But yeah, we're still in I think a hip hop cycle right now, and it's been a long time. I wonder if it's going to outlast um the run that rock had from Elvis. Because when in the 50s, rock was just kind of crawling up into the Billboard charts, and then in the 60s, it was dominant. No, the late 60s, from like the late, I would say like 66, 67, Summer of Love. I know people can say 67, but um, the the kind of cobbled together styles that we have now, it's really just you don't know what's going to hit, and so record executives are always on their toes
Well,
guessing.
the saddest thing is the no, I mean, I don't believe it's gone, because there's many people, indie wise, that I follow that do concept albums. So in other words, the song is not constructed to be just a hit and get the money generated through sales on Spotify and all that. you're constructing a song that's inside a larger set of songs, which tells a story, if you will, or gives almost like an adventure and everything. Hence, Hawkwind being probably one of the most known and recognized for concept bands, as well as Pink Floyd. We love the Pink Fairies, and there's just a lot of like sitting down for 45 minutes ish with an entire album, is kind of lost upon in the mainstream. Now, I will not go out and say it's not going on, because like I said, I have good friends that are in bands, and their literal construction is, if not jamming for 45 minutes in a way that, kind of almost like operatically, plays out a story, or feels that way.
Yeah, Hawkwind and those guys never charted. Pink Fairies never charted, but Pink Floyd definitely did. You also have like Taylor Swift now. Oh shoot, did I just crash again? Why am I crashing on this program?
On Photoshop?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Taylor Swift is arguably the biggest thing since sliced bread, and she drops full albums. She does the singles to kind of like tease and promote, but she's an old fashioned recording artist in that way.
Yeah.
And I think I recovered. Yay! Let me hit save before anything else happens. I don't like her stuff, but
I've never heard a song of hers. I've never heard a song of hers, or was conscious that was a song that was Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no, she's a talented.
Oh, I have nothing against her. I just never have come across it in the way I come across stuff. Hey, real quickly, do you know the color of the Duke's eyes?
We haven't. No, why? What's
brown or blue?
Hazel, I guess.
Oh my gosh! All right, blue.
Well, what are you coloring?
Well, no, I mean, I'm giving a color value, to his eyes if I get close enough. So instead of just blacking them out, and I give a little, like this would be blue, and this would be brown. And this is 90%. No, this is 70% gray, cool gray, and this is 50% cool gray.
Right.
Oh! I just saw. So my nephew, going back to Christmas gifts, little sweetheart that he is, got me a set of woodless charcoal pencils, which was actually on my list of things to get. So he bought them for me because he was at Hobby Lobby, and this comic book, which has me so thoroughly confused. I don't know what to do. So it's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's first issue. It says 17. It begins here. Homecoming. Wow. Talk about unclarity.
Well, that looks like John Romita Jr., if I'm not mistaken. And
I don't know.
And I think that was an
$8 too.
An 80s reboot, I want to say.
I don't know, man. But this is that was the other thing too. This is a 91. But here, look at this. So for the credits, it says Steve Montano, absolutely incredible inker, Ken Lopez, inarguably impeccable letterer, Evelyn Stein, incontrovertibly incompatible colorist, Craig Anderson, editor, Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief, Jim Valentino. Oh well. So I think this is penciled by Jim Valentino.
Okay,
but I don't know if that's also carrying over to the cover. I kind of believe so, but oh yeah, it is. It says Valentino right here. Okay. All right. Well, figuring things out here.
Wasn't he one of the guys that jumps over to
yeah, he does Shadowhawk, I think is his image title.
Yeah.
So, but really fascinating. My youngest nephew there.
I I always thought there was great potential for that Diamond character in the Guardians of the Galaxy, to draw him differently and to color him differently. I think they've been dropping the ball on that. That could be a very cool effect, that diamond effect, if you think about it. But nobody's really captured it right, I don't, in my opinion, so far. They had those guys briefly, I think, in the movie, right? All those original guys. They basically changed the Guardians of the Galaxy. None of those characters appear. It's like Star Lord and Rocket Raccoon and Drac and Gamora. Am I forgetting anybody?
The one with the antennas. Mantis? Mana?
Mantis, yeah, the
Mantis,
female.
something like that?
Yeah, she's from the Avengers originally, but yeah. So and then there's like a robot chick, right? So yeah. Can you believe they had such a big hit with that? But they take the name of this group of these other guys, like the guy with the fin in his head and the diamond guy, etc. The black and white guy. Those are some really cool costume designs, if you ask me. But I think they got only like cameos in the blockbuster, and I don't even know if it was the first one. It might have been the sequel. Um, and I think there's a great, especially with CGI. I think there's a great potential for the diamond guy. But I might be a little biased because I do a diamond lesson in my art classes where we learn the diamond effect, how to draw the diamond effect on stuff. So you know, I think the shorter version is like I'm just basically chomping at the bit to show off that technique and in like a human, with that effect. So maybe one day I'll do a story of the diamond guy. I don't even know what he's called.
Me neither.
Well, you'll learn when you read your present, right?
Why? That's all manga.
No, your Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that comic?
Yeah.
I did, but oh, is it who's? So this is the diamond guy.
No, that's the
Oh,
black and white guy. I love that guy's outfit. The
yeah,
diamond guy's not there on the cover for some reason.
yeah. But these are the only people that are
No,
in
there's a
it.
diamond guy for
Is
sure.
it diamond guy? You saw the diamond guy?
I've been talking about it for half an hour.
No, I know. You're talking about this guy here?
Yeah, bring him up to the
All
thing.
right, here you go. Here you go.
The way they draw him, it's BS. Where's the color? Diamonds are an amazing thing.
Refracting
What
of
diamond?
light.
Yes, and reflecting of color,
Yeah,
breaking white light down into multiple colors.
they even give him a
It's an
whole
amazing.
page of talking head. Look at this, and then they
Oh,
put the color. Look at the color though behind it. They kind of wanted
right
to. They kind of wanted to.
behind him, like that is so
To
dropping the
bring
ball,
some
right?
of that color into his form, that would have been baller.
Right. Well, I anyway, I have a diamond effect that I teach kids, and there's basically four components. Number one is fade outs. Instead of coloring in and instead of shading, we're going to make fade outs. So I tell the kids get 3 to 4 colors and make fade outs in all these little facet areas. And they always do the same thing. They always color in, and I'm like, no, make it a fade out. So we learn to do fade outs. Number two, the mirror lines. When you're drawing like the reflective glass effect that we do all the time in comics. So that's like these little parallel lines that go in different directions, right? The mirror lines. Number three is sparkles, right? Little doodads, little stars all over, glistening lines. And then number four is like the glow, where you're doing like the little manga lines, the radial, shiny lines. And between all that, you'll have a really nice diamond effect. You should see I have upstairs actually. I could show you, but you see some of the artwork like these kids can produce once you learn a technique like that. And I think I printed one year. I think I printed out like just a printout of that character, and I tried to get a kid to color the character in, but you know that was just a little pet project for somebody that was a little bit ahead of the others. But yeah, anyway, I that's what pops to mind when I see that Guardians of the Galaxy is like how they never really used that Diamond guy to his potential, whatever his name is.
Somebody, please. Anybody?
Oh, Charlie 20. So thanks to Daryl. Charlie 20 Martinex is the Diamond
There
guy,
you go. Thank you, Daryl. Woo! Save the day.
and it's the other ones are Charlie 27, Vance Astro, and Yondu are the OG Guardians. That's funny, Charlie 27, because I think they just came out with this movie called like Charlie 15 or something. And it was a sci-fi movie about somebody that keeps getting killed. I saw the preview for it, but I never saw the movie. And maybe I should put that on my list because I try to watch all the sci-fi stuff. Um, I wonder if Marvel has a claim. Hey, we had Charlie 27 already, and you guys are making Charlie whatever, Charlie 15. Speaking of movies, I haven't seen the new Avatar 3 yet. I got it on my list. Just a big budget blockbuster, and I'm a sucker for all big movies. I'm a popcorn addict, but I did see. We took the whole family out, and because my brother's a big goofball, so we went to go see Anaconda, starring Paul Rudd of Ant-Man fame and Jack Black, who I think they kind of mailed that one in. It was not the greatest movie ever, um, but it was kind of like the same formula of like Jack Black making funny and Paul Rudd making funny, and they're supposed to be like this. There's supposed to be these two losers who are making a remake of Anaconda, and they go down to the Amazon, and then there's in real life this giant snake that's killing everybody. So antics ensue. Um, Not a good movie. So when I found out we were going to the movies, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna go see Avatar," and my brother's like, "No, that movie's like 3.5 hours long. He can't leave his dog alone that for that long. So we'll have to see that another time when his but nice to be off school. You can see the shenanigans that we're getting into. Um, the Guardians of the Galaxy, another Marvel hit when they couldn't do anything wrong. All right, I think now I have to bring everything down. I'm just gonna like balance this out. I'm way too close to the top, but I'll bring everything down. I'm also gonna have to extend the backgrounds here, and now we're gonna fix these word balloons and bring this in. Let me hit save every once in a while. But this is what's involved. I'm playing with layers here. I don't need this anymore, so I can close that and free up the scratch disk space. And then I have to bring in the final EPS. Right? We did this already for this page. Except, I ruined it already. Okay, we have to bring it in again.
Ruined it already.
Well, I made the boxes. We made the boxes for this page and the word balloons. I just have to go grab them. So let's go do that. I'll hit open, and that's in layers. We'll get this anew. And then we will, I think the last step will be to go in and kind of lighten up these two instances of the Duke. But it's hard because we're doing him without doing the robots that he's attacking. Oh no, I think I actually just destroyed forever these word balloons over here. Did I? Or no, I think I just covered them with a layer. Yep, no, I did. I destroyed them forever. So I'm gonna have to fix those.
Okay.
Crazy. Um so I'll have to open the EPS. Well, first thing we'll do is we'll get these out of here. Extricate these. Got them. Now seal the tunnel behind me. So this is a little bit of a pain, but I gotta go grab these with, no, I'm on the wrong layer. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is good. These are all floating on a layer. So this ought to be easy just to lift these out. Dude, you got two around the corner. What about this one? The central alarm just went off. Jerky. So these I can cut. Yay. Or maybe I'll copy. Better yet. And then we'll paste them on top here. Boom. Nice. So yeah, did you see anything else going on your YouTube feed lately? I've been,
all kinds of stuff.
yeah, I've been seeing they're giving me like all these like explainer videos of all like the classic artists. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Like sci-fi guys, they really got me pegged for my, for my algorithm.
Yeah, I spend probably the majority of my time in the evening after watching television with the wife. I watch information based essays, mini documentaries. They just keep getting better and better. That's the sort of wild thing. Especially with AI, which I think was this week. What was it? There was a big connector between a company called Capsule and Nano Banana and Gemini 3, where you can make, if you can imagine a television screen or movie screen, and one side is scrolling text, and then the other side is like, I don't want to say morphing, but definitely moving graphics that are amplifying the words. So what they're calling it is it's a gateway for PowerPoint players. So people who have been using PowerPoint to illustrate a story to sell something internally through the business, or externally to sell something to a business, as a business proposal. The couple of people I watch that are kind of creative edged, are obviously leaning into that, like little tongue and groove between making a comic book, a motion comic book, a 2D animation type
Yeah.
of sliding motion thing. But they all agreed that the technology still isn't creative friendly interfacing. In other words, it can only deal with the reality that it's been able to scoop up by the way the LLM has been designed and perpetually trained. And that was like, that actually took me into a whole new guy who is literally figuring out I hate to say style. This is the one frustration I have, and I have to apologize to everybody. I love technology. I love what's going on with AI in the way of like the impending doom of it all and the change and oh my god. But I don't retain technical terminology, so please forgive me in my rudimentary replacement of words. But it's getting really interesting in the way that we're not seeing anything for us creatives other than using, for instance, Photoshop was never designed to draw and paint with. It was a photo editor. That's all it was. And creative people who obviously were involved with photographs or pre-production, production for magazines and newspapers, obviously found tricks that could be done inside this photo editor program, which, then the tools started expanding, because Jake and I both hold Photoshop 7, which is 98, Jake? No, 97, right? That was when Photoshop 7 came out. And Photoshop came out in what, 88, 89?
I think earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 7 iterations of that photo editing program, which at this point I have done in the past painted with. Like I have physically got the brushes, I had a Wacom pad and painted inside a computer. Exactly. But the program was never designed in the first place that way. So there's these people I'm following, these individuals, like one or two of them, that are literally saying that that is what even the industry overall is waiting for, are the creative people to basically break the technical nut of these LLMs and the structure of AI. So it really is not creating anything on any level at this point.
Well, I think the story of Photoshop is an amazing one. I understood that it was created by necessity because the team of George Lucas, Lucasfilms, that was making Star Wars in England, was taking these like frame by frame pictures of these ships going past these planets and everything, and they were doing it digitally for the first time. Right, they weren't like setting up little models. They were they were creating it with CAD software for the first time ever. And the problem was that stateside there wasn't the movie studio in New York or LA or whatever did not read those file formats.
They had nothing to interface with.
Well, they basically just needed to convert from JPEG into whatever they were using. And so it was the I think Knoll, Knoll was the first Photoshop 1.0 was Knoll software. It was a file converter.
Wow.
And then
shit, man, you really do remember this shit.
Hey, there's a little stick missing here in this one scene.
Yeah.
Well, let's add the drawing tools. And they're like, well, we need it to be blurry here. Well, let's add the filters. Like, well, we don't have any titles here. Well, let's add the text. And then like, oh, let's make the text go into the shape of a pyramid. And so all that kind of stuff.
Oh, damn.
So they added the tools, and then after it was no software, I think Adobe came in, but there might have been somebody in between. They were like, yeah, well, this is a great tool because they just cornered the market on photo editing and text editing of every size and description. So that's that's a little bit of history the way I understand it. I was using Photoshop. I don't think I had a Mac Plus. In I think they came out in '84. I had one by like '86. I was just out of school. I had just learned all this stuff with like actual hands-on graphic arts, paste ups and photography, photo compositors, on the service bureau, vloxes, um, all everything traditional that was being used in fashion and kind of like graphic design, graphic art. And then Photoshop comes out. I'm like, wow, what an incredible time saver. You could just draw a circle, you could draw a rectangle, you could draw this, you could draw that, you could fill it with a tint, you could do whatever. And then, the clone tool comes out. It's like, oh,
Oh my God.
I drew the nose too high. I can just
Yeah.
clone it and bring it lower.
Yeah.
The lasso tool, to make a selection and then to feather the selection. Like some of these things were like unheard of. And I was using so my Mac Plus did not have Photoshop. I didn't have a version of it. I think it was a lot of money, $1,000 or something. But at work they had a copy because I was working overnights at a Kinko's. So that's how I first got my hands on Photoshop. I was using Freehand, Aldous Freehand, and Adobe Illustrator, and they couldn't do half of the stuff that Photoshop could do. And in terms of being creative, or in terms of like manipulating photos, making deep fakes, whatever. And at the time, something where you could like get rid of an arm or a leg, it was the only way to do it. And
So
so
the
then,
P
yeah, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I just the PSA is, if you're afraid of AI or the coming technology taking your creativity or your creative freedom away, it's a lie. Whatever the information that you're getting that's causing you to have this amount of fear is a lie, because these are just tools. They're just instruments. And I'm telling you right now, I watch deep conversations about this technology from the technological base, and they're all worried that we as creatives are not going to, which is a bunch of bullshit, because people are already engaging this material, these tools, as creative people, to really push and form them into what they should become. And it really does kind of behoove these major AI driven companies, OpenAI, Meta, um, Google. And I think it's going to happen because Google actually did this years ago, early 2000s. They opened up basically a free platform to go into as a creative to mess around with all these exclusive tools. Like, what can you do with this? What can you do with that? What could you do with this? And supposedly, like, thousands of people went in, and hundreds came out with new technical skills that industries needed. So, it's getting really, really
Well,
interesting.
yeah, I don't think the complaint is that you have tools to be able to do what you want to do creatively. I think the complaint is that they're they're using learning models that are taking artwork
They're
from
yeah,
people.
unsourced, or
Right.
sourcing
Yeah. No.
unethically. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I get that. I get that. I get
I
that.
mean, we've had AI since the first calculator. The
Right, right,
the
right.
Texas Instruments calculator. That's not the complaint. It's a little different. Yesterday I was just doom scrolling, and I saw Randy Weingarten, who was the head of the teachers union in the United States, the AFT. She's like the top banana in the. She tweeted out this Christmas card that was completely AI, and she said this one, making this was so much fun. Like this one was extra fun, and I'll see if I can show you what the AI was. It's so obnoxious. Let me see. Was it on Instagram or was it on Facebook? Oh, I know what it was. It was on Blue Sky. So she she has this Christmas card where they take Andy Warhol and they take Picasso and they take all of the greatest artists of history and they just turn it into like, the cheapest holiday
Schlop.
blue. Right.
Schlop.
Exactly. AI slop. And the reaction was scathing. It was brutal. You have a lot of teachers that are fighting to keep AI out of the classroom right now. Oh wow, did she delete it? I think she deleted it.
I love it. I love it.
Maybe it wasn't
so silly.
let me oh here, no, it's right here. Okay. So are you ready, folks? We're gonna go on a ride into the slot.
Into the slot machine.
Right now remember, she represents the biggest teachers union in the country, and
wow.
the jury's still out on how AI should be used, and
Yeah.
and whether it's stealing labor. I mean, she's the head of the teachers union. This is one of the biggest labor organizers ever, and here are these machines that are stealing labor. Watch this. Let me put and the comments are brutal here. Okay.
Merry Christmas! Look at that! Merry Christmas, friends!
Like, so what?
I wish you all a lot of love.
Gustav Klimt. Who's it?
Mark Chagall.
Chagall, right?
I won the most original Christmas tree competition.
Very funny.
Did you hear that? Look at this beautiful Christmas tree.
Mondigliani.
Merry Christmas. Yes, you too.
Wow, who's that?
That looks like Chagall again.
No, that's not
I told you they would.
Kandinsky or no
Kandinsky.
Franz. Somebody Franz.
So you can see the idea, right? It just
There, Mary.
now here's some of the comments, right? 400 likes. Speaking as a parent who also teaches art at my kids' schools, I don't want Gen AI in my child's learning, and Gen AI teaches my tiny art no skill.
Wow.
Inadequacy. I've already discussions about human-made art and understand blah blah blah. I mean, there's 100 likes on this one. Anyone proclaiming themselves a unionist but promoting Gen AI has serious
Whoa.
issues.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Here's Prince, a Prince quote on when Guitar Hero came out many years ago. This is back to. I'm just looking for the ones that have like hundreds of likes. 67 likes. Picasso and Warhol are still very much in copyright, and these are copying their work pretty exactly. The thing AI companies promised wouldn't happen, right? I mean, I love teachers. Teachers are, here's 230 likes. AI slop made without the consent of the deceased person. 184 likes. Did this really happen? 176 likes. Please stop. I'm just liking it. Love the head of a union that includes many academics like me is endorsing the theft of intellectual property.
But here's the thing, though. So supposedly, within the last 6 months, the major players have reached out to all of these estates organizations, and it's not getting permission. They are constantly legally cutting deals. That's the
the music. The music. The music.
No. It's for Picasso's estate management and Picasso, Warhol, and stuff. Because you have to remember, the people running these estates are trying to keep the name relevant, and if they don't understand anything, they're probably signing off, in a general way. Yeah. Let them use Picasso's likeness, or the art at least. Like maybe not the likeness of Warhol or likeness of Picasso, to have them saying, egregious things like they did with Martin Luther King. But the art style itself is still up for debate. So it's a tough thing. It's a tough kind of grade, but the way teachers are, like, it warms my heart to hear all of those comments basically bending around like we've got to champion the creativity in the young individuals that are growing, not champion AI slop making apps. Like that's what's going to have to be held up to. Like that's what you Jake are now responsible for, you know.
Well, there's a petition right now to incoming Mayor Zoran Mamdani,
Yeah.
who's going to be my new boss. That there's a 2-year moratorium on AI in the classroom.
Whoa.
Because we know the kids are going to be using it at home no matter what, like, especially high school. And they haven't gotten the privacy, like believe it or not, the biggest complaint is the data mining, not just the language models, but also invasive data mining, like which is like tracking, like they're making profiles of kids as young as, God only knows. And I mean, it depends what the product is, like, if it's like if it's some kind of like writing app, like, oh, you're gonna do your writing in this platform, and you submit your like you read something and then answer questions and then submit your assignments on this. Right. Well, what are they doing with the data? They have the kid's name, they have their class, they have their age, they have the grade. Then, when they're writing, they're like, oh, I was thinking about committing suicide when I was in 4th grade, right? You have all, or else, I was suspended when I was in 3rd grade, all of this kind of like personal information that, kids, are write about all the time, and teachers are trained, not to ever share or divulge any personally identifying information or anything. And these computer companies are getting these multi-million-dollar contracts, and they're feeding all this stuff into some gigantic, database, some kind of like mainframe, data collection thing, so they can improve their product. Like, who gives a fuck, So all this kind of stuff is going on, but it just goes without saying that like kids apps. If you're a parent listening to this, and you're not watching the apps that your kids are on, because most of the bad stuff is happening at home, not in school. I let's be honest.
Yeah.
But even the stuff that's happening in school, there are laws on the books, federal and state laws on the books for years that are just completely out of compliance, not being administered. Like on the federal level, there's something called FERPA, was the Federal like Privacy Rights Act, and every kid under 13 is not supposed to have any kind of personally identifying information kept, stored, saved, analyzed, whatever, recorded, in whole or part, blah blah blah. Like you can imagine, and just be completely ignored, and the worst offender is right at the top of the list is Google Classroom, Google Drive, Google, Docs, Google, spreadsheet, Google everything, because they're supposed to be like this, Bill of Rights, Consumers Bill of Rights. They're supposed to be filed with the state every year, updated, blah blah blah. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. So when they go over all these kind of like complaints, this is just par for the course of what's been happening on the data mining and the student privacy front. Now it's just on steroids with the AI, because so much of it is just automated now. So where does that leave us?
We're all going to hell.
We're all going to hell, and we're voluntarily giving all of our information to the richest people in the world, Zuckerberg and Elon. And we like Facebook has got to be the greatest scam of the century. And I was right there with everybody else when Facebook came out. You know, like, oh, I put my family pictures up there. This is my daughter when she was 6. This is my daughter when she was 12. Right? Oh, it's because grandma's on this. You know, grandma can see it. Little did we realize that when we're signing that agree button, when we're clicking that agree button,
You signed it all away.
We're giving
all gone.
Mark Zuckerberg right, license, and title to take that information and exploit it any way he wants to the highest bidder, which is exactly what they've been doing for decades now. And you know, and it's gotten, of course, you know, very controversial politically. You know, in 2016, they you know, they sold all the information, 25 million users, to Cambridge Analytica, who
That's
was like,
amazing. That's
it
amazing.
was somebody that was posing as an academic, but they were actually a Russian cutout. You know, amazing. I mean, and you know, and you know, did it make the difference in the election? Nobody knows. But you know, it's definitely illegal. So, you know, all that kind of stuff has been going on, and we should be. You know, that was 2016, so we should be wiser now. I mean, you know, and a lot of people said, "Well, I'm getting off Facebook," you know, and I'm getting off Twitter. And a lot of people walked away, or you know, me, like, I just changed my habits. Like, I don't put anything, you know, important or valuable up there. You know, I promote my band, you know, or I promote my comic, you know, just, you know, see if I can use the platform for advertising to, you know, to get some benefit. But I'm not gonna, you know, show them, you know, a picture of my car. I'm not gonna show them a picture of my house. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna do anything, because you know, it's like, if people knew how exact, like, I just saw this list of the richest people, and you know, Elon is just crossed over territory that no human has ever been. $700 billion in value because of his latest stock deal, and that's supposed to go over $1 trillion, you know, by design, because he wants to be the first trillionaire. But I'm seeing graphics that Zuckerberg is also worth 500 billion. You know, I thought he was only worth like 140 or 200 billion. These are numbers, like, you know, the world has never seen before. And it isn't just like, oh, you know, Jake's a socialist, or, you know, whatever, or, you know, because the money is being taken out of the economy. So that means if they have all that money, that means less other people have the money. It's not just
money's not taken out of the economy. What do you mean by that?
oh,
It's not
definitely. Oh,
not
definitely.
all that money is not being taken out of the economy.
Absolutely.
It is the economy. He doesn't have it in cash. These guys don't have it in cash.
Well,
that's all their assets value. That's the difference between millionaires and everybody else. If you're a millionaire,
yeah,
the reason you're a millionaire is you don't have $1 million in the bank. You have $1 million in assets.
Right, but for one person to have $1 billion in assets means that it could be 100 other people, you know, that have a million. Like, one billionaire is equivalent to 1,000 millionaires.
Well, who cares?
That's
free market. That's free market. Those are people that are investing their money in order to
and
generate assets, in order to then take the assets and gain money at a bank, and then default on the loans at the bank, so that they have cash in an ATM, so they can buy groceries and they can pay for cars and all that kind of stuff. So I have nothing against billionaires and trillionaires, but I just don't believe they have that money accessible to them. It's just a scorecard of assets. That's all it is.
No, but you're wrong, because they can borrow against it, and they do.
I get that. I understand. But you made the statement that money has been taken out of the economy. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It is the economy.
Absolutely.
All those assets are out there functioning in our economy. It's making money for other people. If you hold SpaceX stock, then you're making money in the way that they're valuing what it is they do, and they yield profit. They yield profit.
Right. Well, let me clarify. When I say the economy, what I meant is the circulating economy. And you can say that if it's sitting in one guy's account in his bank.
It's not.
Hold
It's
on.
not
Go
sitting
ahead and
in
make your point so that I can talk. Go
I'm
ahead, make your
sorry.
point
I'm
so that
sorry.
I can talk.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I just
So
don't. Wait, you're going down. You're going down. I just want everybody to know from here on out, whatever Jake says, I do not agree with. So just so everybody knows, what he's
right.
going to say is completely from his POV. Has
Well,
nothing to
well,
do
that's no,
with mine. You now have the stage.
that's inherent when it comes out of my mouth. So here, when one person accumulates wealth, it's coming from somewhere. It comes from other people, and that means they're just, that would be, 100 people used to have this wealth. Now one person has it. It doesn't matter if it's sitting in the bank or if it's going through stores and being spent. It's better if it's being spent, obviously, because that creates jobs. But the idea that having so much money is, not only displacing the the access to that money from other people, is there's a healthy distribution, and Europe and other countries do it differently than the US. We have kind of like a lot more unrestricted capitalism, for good or for ill, and if we look at the founders of the United States, who were all rich themselves, they said pretty explicitly that they're against the accumulation of wealth where it gets to the point where they can influence the government. And I think that horse has left the barn decades ago, if not centuries ago. I mean, that was a problem right from the get, but it's worse than it's ever been. So you have not only unhealthy distribution of of wealth, where government does step in a lot of other countries, but not our country, and then you have the corrupting influence of the government. So that's what I want to say. You respond.
I don't know what I'm responding to, because all you're doing is you're putting ideological information out in a base opinionated way in order to persuade individuals to move counter, left or right. My whole system of belief and action is what's called gathering all the information, if it's important to me, like what it's important to me, to help me make and refine my decisions. So when I say I don't agree with everything you say, it's basically me saying I have not investigated that category of information in order to recount it. The only thing I get pissed off at is not only with you, but other people that make silly comments like all of that money is outside of the economy. It's just like, why are you making that kind of egregious statement in order to what? I don't get it, because I mean I do get it, because from a socialistic ideology, you want all this wealth to be distributed among everybody. And that is a very contentious thing in this country, even going back to the founding fathers. But I'm not trying to dismiss it in all of its nuances. I'm dismissing the statements in the for me, they feel like it's a power play. Like when somebody says something egregious, like, "Oh, that money's outside the economy," it's just not true. That's all I want to put out there. Now, if a third person wants to come in and say, "Well, Kurt, well, Jake, both of you are right, both of you are wrong," because that is the truth. Both of us are completely right and completely wrong about the same topic. You have to get an economist in here to go and do that. Like tonight, I might actually spend 45 minutes going through YouTube videos based on a search, which is how much of Elon's wealth is outside the economy. That would be just the question. And then I would find, verified, and listen to economists give their take. Not one, not three, probably 5 to a dozen. And then out of those dozen people, I can then formulate a better idea of what that statement really actually means, instead of the cartoon comic book posting on the internet like we're doing right now.
Right.
And
Well,
like I said, I don't want people to think just because Jake does the majority of the talking and has a majority of opinion held, that I hold anything close to what Jake's opinions are about society and economics and stuff. Because we don't. We just do not agree.
no, you just said your piece. I say mine, and we're having a discussion. But this came up in the context of some, data mining, the citizens of our country, including children. And these
Well,
guys
that's the
get
most
away.
important. That's the most important thing to
Well,
agree upon, is being able to not allow children to be left without something. That would be, I think that's the thing you and I can both passionately agree upon, is anything that is not, it's not even like being harmful. It's causing a young individual to be eliminated from the open dialogue in our country.
Well, right, but it's also
But just giving everybody enough money to be able to live,
well,
whatever that calibration is. Do you know what I mean? These are the things where it starts getting weird. My point is give everybody the equal chance to become Elon Musk. I don't want that ever to change. And right
so
now, Elon Musk is creating the rules. He's creating the rules. So that means
right,
people have got to
exactly
get
my
up
point.
there and make that happen.
Right, that was exactly my point about the founding fathers, who were clear hundreds of years ago that how much is too much is when they're affecting the government and they're making their own rules. So that's where we are now. In the map, you are here. That's where we are, and I think it's to everybody's detriment, and that's why I'm saying my opinion when it's my turn to speak. And and we're having a great discussion about this because this hits people differently.
It's everybody differently. God bless, because that's what this country's based on.
Right, but I like to look. I mean, I argue all day with people about this. And in a classroom, you have to be kind of like the neutral facilitator for discussions. But outside of the classroom, I go online and I'm talking with people that are like, Obama's a communist, and they don't understand like basic definitions and stuff. So what's going on right now that I think is worthy of discussion is this surge in AI and robotics and technology, and that includes telecom and communication, but it also includes social media. And a bunch of a very very small number of really really rich people have decided to assume control. Right, so you could talk about Amazon services and AWS, how much they control. You can talk about buying ABC, NBC, CBS, all that. That's all being fought right now over, the 60 Minutes. Do say this or should they say that? Like, it's all being fought over right now. Very, very current, discussions. But if you look at the difference between some European countries, and countries like Japan and Canada and Australia, they limit how much a person can accumulate because of what our United States founders warned against, is that nobody should be so singularly wealthy that they can buy every member of the government off. And that was the warning that we're really dropping the ball on. And we're also, by buying on Amazon, we're also dropping the ball because we're making the richest people in the world richer. And we're, and using Amazon Web Services, we're not, boycotting or anything. We just like, we're just like lazy and can, do whatever's convenient, myself included. But we're also handing over all of our information to Apple and Microsoft and Google and all these, purveyors of big tech, and we're just hoping on their, that they'll be nice to us when it comes time to, sell our information or profit off of our information. But they're not. They're lobbying against us, and so we're seeing this, come up in very interesting ways. And right now we're coming up on January 1st, so a lot of things change over. A lot of people come into office, and a lot of more discussions we're having. But I would argue, just look at the relative success of these other countries that have limited these deployments of billionaires and everything, and you'll see that they do a lot more to protect kids, and that in the advertising, marketing, data mining, collection, all this kind of stuff, and we just hand it over because we err on the side of free market capitalism. But when you buy off the government, nothing's really a free market anyway. They're picking the losers and the winners and losers anyway. So I guess that's where I depart. I'm not trying to say we should go communist like Cuba. I'm saying we should go more like Australia, Canada, Japan, EU, like all of a lot of these other models. And I guess that's a little bit of my politics, but this also affects everything we're doing in comics and everything we're talking about in sci-fi, because we are trying to picture what the world's going to be like. And I try to bring some of these nightmares into the storyline, and I have to update it constantly, not just the scientific advancements, which I think are great, but also the social political I don't want to say advancements, but moves that are being made that
Well,
are
I don't know. I literally, I'm making a statement. I do not know how you're doing it. So just so everybody is clear, once again, 2 points. Jake does this comic book writing sci-fi thing as therapeutic in a majority of the ways, entertaining himself, but more figuring things out, as the world turns. I'm an escapist, a pure escapist. Now, the second thing is that Jake is the primary story driver of Turbo Pit Fighter. Jake was the one when we were sitting at a show or just hanging out, back in '99, or even, and you had already come up with this character and the kind of light sense of situation Turbo was in post-apocalyptically. Which seems to be such an ironic statement to try to classify a comic book story now. That I don't know how you're doing it, because I know you well, in that you follow what's going on in the world socially and scientifically on a daily basis. Like, you do have an hour one way, or just one way to get to school, and you have time to be able to listen to things and such, and then you have your downtime, even during class and everything like that. But for me, I have quadrupled down on sword and sorcery, because I don't have to deal with any of this apocalyptic information that we're actually living in right now. Like, it beats anything I can do in the way of writing. Just so everybody's clear, if I had to sit down and write something post-apocalyptic or dystopian, it beats me. Just listening to YouTube 2-minute flashes in the pan of what's going on in the world, you would just totally assume we are in a post-apocalyptic situation. We just don't know what it was that set it off. So I do want to ask you, open-wise, in a question, what is your primary translating technique for what you are experiencing, Jake, socially and scientifically, and filtering it through the Turbo story?
I'm seeing everything in real time coming true.
Right.
Right. Like, when we sat down and we said, well, the multi-trillionaire D. Huberton family. Right. There was no such thing.
That was comic book. To say trillionaire in 1999 was comic book. That's not going to ever happen. You're not going to have trillionaires. That's stupid. Literally. Right. I definitely said it. I most definitely said it.
Right. Now we're seeing the race to be the first trillionaire. And it is just kind of like a vanity project from a couple of these guys who that's more important to them than anything else, is just to be the first trillionaire. And they don't care how many, people they have to step on or whatever. I mean, Elon has made a deal, and it got approved, and this wasn't easy because a lot of the shareholders of his company, Tesla, um, are in other countries, and they have different, beliefs. They have the labor laws, and they have to have, like, workers, a certain amount of workers at the table, on the board and all this stuff. But the structure of the deal is that if Tesla hits certain goals, then they're going to issue a certain amount of more stock. And being that Elon holds all of the stock, the lion's share of stock, that would make him a trillionaire. Like if they issue more stock and they sell more stock. Now, if somebody else, has a correction or anything, please feel free to correct. But basically they're saying, Elon, the headlines are today in real life, not the Onion, is that Elon poised to become the world's first trillionaire, by negotiating this deal with these.
Yeah, but he has to actually do it. Like that's the thing.
Right.
It's like he's got to do a lot.
Right. He's got.
There's an agreement. But there has to also be an execution successfully for the board to be able to give you. Or him.
Right, but they didn't have to. But they could have said no. They could have said, "Let's not issue all."
Why? They'd make all that money. Because that's money on the table.
Because it could dilute the stock as well.
You're right. You're right.
So there's all this going on, and then I just saw the update that he's or so far at $700 trillion, $700 billion. Sorry. And nobody's in that territory. I don't know if the stock price fluctuates, so it might be 600 tomorrow. I don't know.
Yep.
So as we say this, and I'm also I didn't do the homework that Kurt describes. I'm just kind of like repeating like the memes I came across yesterday, or the posts that I came across yesterday. So all of this is just kind of like a grain of salt for now, but we there's no question about it, is that we're getting in America, we're getting to the point where the distribution of wealth is getting to hit all new record heights. And whether you agree with that concept of having no limits on that or not, it's happening. And usually our elections kind of swing back and forth on like a pendulum of right to left to right to left to right to left. But this is something where the billionaires are right and left, right? You have Bill Gates in there and Zuckerberg in there, who were Obama supporters and Clinton supporters and everything. And then you find they're sitting right up there on stage, with Trump smiling like the cat that ate the canary. So the point being is, they'll just go back and forth and support whoever helps them. And we know now that Zuckerberg was contacting Hillary and John Podesta, and we know that Steve Jobs was personal friends with the Clintons for years, and affecting policy and doing all this kind of stuff behind the scenes. So it does affect our daily lives. And you could argue maybe that they're creating jobs for people, and they're creating technology so we can use our iPhones and stuff. But all I say is look at what works, and what's working in other countries is not the same as what's happening here. And you could also look at the history of the U.S. in the past, when we had different lefty righty values about from Eisenhower to Kennedy to Nixon. We've had all these different things with inheritance tax and how much the government keeps and how much it takes. And I don't think it's controversial to say that the government is being controlled by the rich right now. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I think both sides agree to that. They both complain. They just, complain about George Soros instead of the Koch brothers or whatever. But in our story, just to get back to the fiction,
Yep.
In our story, we're kind of envisioning a confluence or a convergence of all of those billionaires together into one big company and one big family, and they're going to
The
marry in
DeHubertons.
the DeHubertons, right? And if there's any regional billionaire in the future that's still worth 100 billion, or let's say like only $1 trillion, then they'll either acquire their company or kill them or marry in, which harkens back to the days of the European royalty, where
Medici.
you could achieve peace by having the royalty in Spain marry the royalty in Italy, and or England or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what the countries were, but they literally went through all this before, and in our story they will again. And it's in the way that sci-fi can be a cautionary tale, then that's exactly how it's meant. But we're also looking at just the fun of the Road Warrior and Mad Max, and portraying these scenarios, just to trigger the imagination. So it's a little bit of all this. And there's we can definitely disagree. It's great for the air, if we're disagreeing and seeing things differently. But there's there is a kind of an acceleration that's happening right now as we're coming to 2026 from 2025, and it's because ChatGPT just had their third anniversary, and it's become, some of these tools are public now, where you can create the kind of AI slop that we just saw, and and I'm kind of down on it. I think AI would be great if it was done ethically, and it was done for the for the common good, and to advance science, and cure cancer, and come up with all these discoveries. But we're seeing fucking Christmas cards, with Keith Haring or Andy Warhol Christmas cards. That's what we're doing, right? Really, So I'm just sorely disappointed in in what I'm seeing so far, and and I think that something like ChatGPT comes along, to exactly what we didn't need, not just in schools, but or homes, but to have another platform where there's going to be these billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, that have even more control and even more invasive data collecting than before. As everybody's going to talk to ChatGPT, like, oh, here's my resume. Can you help me punch it up? Well, guess what? You just gave every detail about your entire work history, to make to make that resume. And guess what? They're using that. And they don't care about you or your name or anything, but they're building a model that's going to be informed by that information, one way or the other, so that they can make profit, and come out with some other product. But you're not getting compensated for the fact that that your information was used to build those tools. That's all. Just like Andy Warhol is not getting compensated for the fact that people are making Christmas cards with his artwork and his art style. So that's wrong. It's theft of labor, and it's theft of IP, and it's theft of style or whatever. And the government hasn't figured out what they're going to do, as far as laws or regulations. And they have the people that are clamoring on one side, including parents and teachers, and then they have the billionaires in their ear, on their other ear, saying, go forward at breakneck speed. And that's exactly what they're doing. And so, we're all losing and they're all winning. And, this all really just feeds into the narrative that we're writing, is that one day, it could be pretty critical how much control they have and what they're able to do. And, they might at some point try to herd everybody into economic slavery. I think it's going that way. I think, you see that kind of stuff now with, like, your water bill, utility bill, the cost of housing. I would argue that we're already seeing it now, but I guess everybody's situation is different, and we're still in the remnants of a democracy where people can vote for whoever they want, state and local, federal, whatever. So all of these, issues and arguments will, in some form or the other, come to the ballot box, and you'll be asked to vote for, the left or the right guy or person, and will this change and get better, or will this just keep going, the way the drum's beating now? I'm not much of an optimist.
Well, that's the one thing you and I can't agree on, which is the crucible, the point of how you and I will always be able to work together. No matter what our political, social, economic ideologies are conflicted, is both of us do not see any positive coming for us and our loved ones in the future, unless you're hot-footing and navigating it. I would put more economically than anything, and also being sort of realistic about retirement, which could be a whole nother episode down the road. But I mean, because I don't want you to ever think that, I don't care about you. There'll never come a time where, it's like, oh, Jake's got me to the point now where I just don't really care about what he's saying or him. That's not ever going to happen, because that's not what our relationship is based on. One of the other things, if I can, Jake, to kind of move us on, is this, like, nobody else is out there doing what Jake and I are doing right now. And if they are, please send me the link personally, or send Jake and I the link personally, because I believe wholeheartedly, now that we're heading to our end of our fourth year doing this, it is very difficult for just two human beings to spend 3 hours of time trying to agree on everything. But the thing about Jake and I is that we do have a prior history, not very deep. Jake and I were never like friends hanging out. We were always business associates trying to get something done out there to grab some cash to keep our creativity moving.
Yeah.
But I believe the thing go ahead.
Yeah. And the reason we kind of rekindled is because of technology, moving ahead. And, I reached out and said, what do you think of this crypto AI? No, what was it? It was NFT stuff.
NFTs.
I just wanted to find out, are you messing around with any of this kind of stuff? And
Yeah,
he was like, no, but I am looking for an inking project. So that's what kind of rekindled us. But
most definitely did.
Yeah, but we both live in this modern world, and we're both kind of like affected by what's going on, good and bad, in the comic scene, the art scene.
Yep.
We're both, and we're both like kind of educators too, in one way or the other.
Yep.
And and there's a lot going on right now that's affecting people, and parents, what I'm talking about. If you're grappling with how am I going to navigate this crazy world we live in with my kids, when there's so much rancor and there's so much disagreement, in every city and town. I mean, you literally have, masked agents that are grabbing people off the streets that didn't do anything wrong except, like, they're making tacos in a taco cart, and they don't have their papers together. So, that's no different than it's been for 50, 60 years. All of a sudden, there's like stormtroopers on the street right now. And
well, that is the point. That is the point of not. That is our point of agreement in not seeing a positive outcome, is because feeling safe is very difficult, and that's just an inalienable right. I think all human beings, no matter where you are in the world, should have the ability to experience, if not a majority of their time, at least a greater portion of it, to give them respite in order to help them make decisions, healthy decisions, and then recalibrate or reposition and move forward in their life with their loved ones, because you're really nothing without your family and the ones that are around you. And, if you're around a bunch of kooks and a lot of them are your family or such, try to navigate yourself to another group of people, by going out and visiting other places and becoming a part of other groups and stuff. But, I still think the tough part about what you and I do, Jake, here is, kind of expose the nuts and bolts of what it is we're making, which could also be very contradicting, where it's like, well, don't show them everything. Then why would they buy the comic book? Nobody's going to buy your comic book if you've shown them every little nut and detail. But I know we both know for a fact, ourselves included, nobody's watched every minute of us.
No, right. I was going to say, nobody's watching anymore.
So, God bless if you have. If you have, God bless you. Right. But the thing about it is the mutual respect and feeling safe with one another. I don't sit around at any point going, oh man, Jake could take off with Turbo and make $1 million without me. It's like, nah, I just don't see that at all, because we do have, respectfully, we meet, outside of the recorded podcast occasionally and talk about, like, are you doing too much? Am I doing too much? Is there a way to relieve? Can we shift responsibilities so somebody doesn't feel like they have a lion's share of the the responsibilities and stuff. So it's I'm fascinated. I really do hope to see in 2026 at least one channel, Joe and Alex, basically sit down with a short story, a 6-pager, a 5-pager, a 4-pager, a 2-pager, a 1-pager comic, and replicate what Jake and I are doing, which is just sharing responsibilities of the complete process to make a comic book. That's all we're doing. And part of that is what I'm doing on this side, which is operating the podcast. Okay, it's a huge part. Social media is a huge part of being a creative person, being any kind of professional person. But I have a sense of joy about it. I enjoy doing it as much as I woke up this morning and found both YouTube and Riverside had changed their dashboard. And we're actually recording on the third take, in Riverside going live because both sides had befuddled me, but I figured it out, and everything's fine. And we're here. We're 2 hours in on this and stuff. So yeah, we're coming up on a 2-hour mark, but I really do believe wholeheartedly what Jake and I are doing is the future of independent comic books. Get together, spend some time, make a comic book, but also talk about things that you're anxious about with the other person. I hope Jake doesn't look to me for solace. I don't think I can I can do that other than to give him the sense of like, I'm here if you want to talk about it, or, so on and so forth. And I know because I've shared stuff off camera with him, that kind of thing. But we're fundamentally, every time we do this, building trust between us. We have to, because this is growing. And as I said in, I think the last episode, if not the last, one of the last 2 episodes, we are going to become a 2D animated comic book in the years to come. Jake, the majority of the I do all the deep dive searching and come up with a lot of the AI conversations that I watch is I have a very, very specific way. I believe with technology, you can isolate a panel and create transitions and movement from panel to panel in a comic book. So as I was saying earlier in this episode, my goal creatively, and this is for me independently of Jake, because I'm not subjecting him to it, though I have a feeling he'd probably dig it if I figured it out, is I want to be very much like manga in the way that I make the comic book, and the comic book is groundwork in order to make the animation. It's that the correlation is probably not really as direct as people would think. Like, you make the comic book and it's all storyboarded. Yeah. But the whole technology of translating information, let's say from the beginning of making your story in a technological setting, AI is probably a part of it, but more importantly, having the information there, not only just in analog, but in scans and identifying one scene to the next and everything, and then being able to build from that with the final product of the comic book to then work on the animation. And I do not want anybody to think that I'm trying to come up with a program that's just basically going to take my scanned pages of my comic book and turn it into. I don't think that's ever going to happen, because I love 2D animation, especially rotoscoping. Yeah, I really am. I really am starting to change my.
Rotoscoping means it has to have a human model in the first place, right?
Yeah. And you look at Sora and the way things are generated in that, you can make scenes play out, and then you can work right over the top of them. There's old movies, there's a lot of stuff, but technology wise, the game changer will be somebody who can really master editing the in-betweens from keyframes. That's what I'm looking for the most in a said program or technological moving, from.
Well, they have that already. They have it already. It's not for the public. They just don't have
Yeah. We've already gone over that, right?
Yeah. It's gatekeeper stuff. Disney has it. You rest assured.
Yep.
That they're rest assured they're making exactly what Kurt's talking about right now for themselves. But why would you give a product like that to the general public so they can do it and be your competition?
I watched an animation. Let me. I can't. Oh God, what it was? It was so cool because it was. It was just fantastic. It wasn't rotoscoped, but it was so in line with our thinking as creatives. I've got to send you the link to it, because every time I come across one of these animations, which is usually like once a week, if not 2 or 3 times a week, I have this glowing hope, not only for me, but the animation industry outside of Disney, Netflix, yada yada. So I'll if anything, you know what, I could do it on my phone. I'm sorry. Let me do
that's right. That's like the industry that you see very, very few people entering into, because it's hard to get distribution for a full length movie. It's hard to compete, and Disney is famous for buying the product and killing it, so you can't compete with them, or paying the distributor 2 times what they might pay you to not carry your product. We've heard all those kind of stories, especially in South America. Over the years, Disney is a corporate bad actor and doesn't give a crap about you know art or production. I mean, they do some good stuff, but they're very, very profit minded. So if you're going to come into the space, I think Don Bluth
Yeah. Yeah, we
is
talked about him.
was like the biggest competitor, that would be putting out non Disney like
And he
features.
got fucked. He got fucked by them through distribution. They fucked him on distribution.
Right, but he put out the Iron Giant and
Yeah.
All Dogs Go to Heaven, right?
Yep.
And how dare he have a good product that people want to
Better
watch?
product.
Right. Well, yeah, just as good as Disney. Disney's good quality. They hire the best people, but
whatever. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. Okay. All right.
all right.
This was on my other. This was on my other channel, but I'm sharing it to you right now.
I just got rid of layer 2 finally, so I can start to consolidate some of these layers. Now I gotta bring this particles of the Duke down. I can,
and it has a it's called just so everybody knows, it's called Skin Flick. It's animation short film 2025, and it's from a company that I follow on YouTube called Gobelins, Gobelins. It's a animation conglomerate out of Paris. Everything that they support, I believe there's grant funding that comes along with being a part of this this incredible group. It's one of like 2 or 3 European-based animation groups that really amplify the individuals gathering together, because it doesn't take one person to make a cartoon.
Can I just insert something right there, and then you do the rest. There other countries like Scandinavia, and I guess you're talking about France right now, invest in their independent creators. They have grants and programs. They have art programs where they encourage and support independent young people to get their footing in an industry. And you might see that if you're watching a foreign movie, that it says, made in cooperation with the, so and so Australian Film Council or whatever.
Canadian,
right.
Norwegian, Australian.
Right. Something that we don't do, and that we were just arguing about a little bit about, free markets and government interference, so-called interference in free markets and stuff, so those are the models that I'm talking about. When you see something good like this come out of nowhere, it's not out of nowhere. It does take a lot of help. I've seen music videos, everything, and I wonder if they even support comic creators. That would be the next thing to look into. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Not at all. Not at all. No, I was done. I like I said, it's Skin Flick, short animation, Gobelins, Gobelins.
Yeah.
Not only follow the channel, people, but you've got a couple nights, if not a couple weeks, of some just absolutely amazing 2D short film animation to watch. And that's, like I said, it's one of my motivation, inspiration, and resources.
Okay, I'm sorry I have an ad here. I'm just gonna show people a little preview here. What you're talking about.
Sure.
Oh wow. So we won't get too into, but yeah, this is the idea. It reminds me a little bit of John Crick-Falusi, maybe a little.
And actually, the artwork reminds me of Brian McRae, who's one of my favorite indie artists, who worked with John Coates on Emerald Emu. So
Right,
that
right,
was
right.
another.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
another.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
good one. So
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a simple style that lends itself to animation. You do have to simplify it for animation, but who knows in the future?
Yep.
Toy Story and Monsters Inc. Proved that you can have these fuzzy, plushy animals with all kinds of intricate fur moving around in every single frame, and you just get the computer to render it, and Bob's your uncle. So maybe in the future, there can be some animated styles that don't have to be simplified like Fred Flintstone.
Yep.
You know, they talk about like, why doesn't Fred Flintstone have an ear? He has a little lump, and they were like, because they wanted to speed up the process. That's why the cartoons have 3 fingers. They wanted to like everything was just about speeding up the process. So
But
you
one of
know,
the things I have I have wholeheartedly accepted, but not have participated yet, is the journey of being a creative nowadays. It's more than one man band or one woman band. You really need to work with each other. I I will never surpass or equal Jake's storytelling sequentially abilities. There's just it won't ever happen because we are designed 2 completely different ways, and I have come to accept it. But I'm blessed because Jake's on the other side, not only with Turbo, but I've done this with Crom the Barbarian, and we'll look forward to doing more of that with Jake in the future. To have him as a resource. And I've said this before, it's one of the reasons we do the Indie Creator Exchange is, Jake's Jake's outlook, excuse me, on a piece of comic book material is going to be a lot different than mine. But the feedback that we try to bounce around, not just specifically about somebody's comic book, but just storytelling, the packaging of the book, the design, these types of things. Uh, it's Jake. I can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, Jake and I. It's not. But there's things like podcasting and some of them. There's things out here technologically that I bring that Jake has factually made statements for, which I can repeat for him. He has no interest, not interested in it.
it's just,
But
I'd
I
rather
am. So
prioritize. Right.
yeah, exactly. And it's all right. It's okay. It's why we're in a partnership, a business related partnership creatively. And I'm just telling you, people out there, start looking for people you want to work with and work very, very small. Fuck this whole graphic novel bullshit. Just stop. Jake and I already had this whole thing mapped out prior
Make
to
it
us getting into it.
5 pager.
Yeah. I mean, I know it would if we were both like, hey, let's get together and start a comic book and go podcast on it, and we'll do 20 issues and 24 arcs and blah 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 blah. There would have definitely been the first meltdown somewhere because I'd have been like, it's 4 years and we just have 18 pages done.
Right.
But it's a lot different when we both know that there's a whole 6 issues, 6 issues plotted out. Issue 2 is already written and penciled. It's a lot different.
Yeah, I know. That's exciting. We do have issue 2 well underway for the pencils. That's for sure. All right, now I have to somehow get all this stuff. Maybe it's just the stacking layer that I have problems with here. Here we go. All right, now this stuff has to go. Goodbye. All right, I'm getting to the point where I can flatten this, but I have to move down the top independently of the bottom, and so this is a little tricky. So that I have a little more airspace at the top, and I gotta grab everything at once. So let's move the art down. Yeah, see, that'll have to come after, I guess. We'll have to do this separately. I've spent this whole episode trying to do this one page and finalize it. So I think this is what's going to be involved in finishing this 11 pager. So some of this had to do with the fact that the pages were a different size. Some of this has to do with the fact that we're doing different parts of it in different locations and then trying to put it all together at the end. But one way or the other, it's coming together. Right now, I just have to move all of this stuff down. So
we got a new individual just made a comment. Dynamo Monsters 5274.
hey,
I'm new
Dynamo.
to this channel. Your video showed up in my YouTube, so I had to check it out. When I read the title, it reminded me of a video game called Pit Fighter.
Yeah, that's the #1 hit. If you put Turbo Pit Fighter in a search engine, you get this video game that's been around. I don't know anything about it, but pit fights have been around for a long time. And there's I just saw a movie. I just saw a preview for a movie that it's going to have some pit fights in there. You also have pit fights in Commandy, and pit fights are a kind of like a long-standing vehicle for storytelling. Glad the days of the gladiators.
Action.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good action.
there's a lot of good action, but I think it was the Mandalorian. I saw the
Yeah.
there's a new Mandalorian movie coming out, not a show, and the Mandalorian is going to get thrown into arena, so he'll be doing some pit fighting too. But yeah, Turbo Pit Fighter. For our new guest, we'll just do a quick explainer. This is a comic, and we'll show you the last teaser that we put out. Looks like this: Turbo Pit Fighter, and yeah, Kurt's got a better shot of it. She's a kind of like a muscly brawler in the future, post-apocalyptic future. And we've been making this comic page by page. We have a 28-page, completely penciled out comic that Kurt has been inking, and he just got up to I think page 18 recently. And we put together this podcast where we're doing it live on the air
Every Sunday.
Right.
Only every Sunday we work on this. And right now we've been doing a 3-hour every Sunday push to get a Doom Magazine Comics Anthology #1 to come out, which the next 6 pages of Turbo Pit Fighter will be featured.
Right. So we started doing this podcast, and then one thing led to another. We started making some connections and contacts and some collaborators. So we got this 11 pager that we're working on right now, and we're putting out the next 6 pages of Turbo, along with an 11 pager for the Duke and a 6 pager for the Casualties, which is kind of like a post superhero group, all female super squadron, and
with art done by Ken Landgraf.
Ken Landgraf, the indie legend and Marvel
Outlaw
legend.
Comics.
Right. So this is all coming out with a whole bunch of extras inside story pages, and it's going to be great. So we're working right now, literally just like putting the word balloons together. But Kurt has spent like the last couple of weeks inking that. Oh, you're still doing inking, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Kurt is still doing inking right now. And I have 2 word balloons here. Why do I have this twice? I have to get rid of this. So we're kind of doing some production here today, but the idea started out. I still love the idea where we're just penciling and inking in split screen.
Yep.
And now because we don't have any company or assistance or anything, we have to do everything ourselves. So we had to take some time out to do the rest of the production. But I think I just put this all together, and I can flatten this whole page now, once and for all. there is some problems here where we ended up with a little gap. So this is where I have to like fill the gap. And I sent you page 3, Kurt, like a preview of page 3, so that
Yeah, I
you can
got it
see
right here.
what's upcoming.
Oh, that's his
Oh, you
3.
printed.
That is 3. Why did I put 2 on there?
Right. If I send you that, that means there's just those little spaces when you're going to be inking. If you could bring the artwork down to those little gaps in between the word balloons,
Oh, okay.
in the first place, so I
Okay.
won't have to do it in the second place because I'm
Okay.
I'm having to do this right
That's
now.
great. No. I can do that. Now you did that. I also have page 2. So this is not page 1. It's page 2. I don't have page 1.
Yeah, I don't think I sent you page
Yeah,
1.
it's all right. No, I can use these as maps. I can use this as a map to then cut up the pages and make them work ahead of time. It's 11 by 17 format.
Yeah.
It's looking nice, man. Now this whole hey Spyros, wait for me. Do you think that's a little too light?
We could fix that if you think it's too light, sure.
Maybe come up another 20% on it, opacity wise.
Well, yeah, you're printing out on a
because this one, I like this one. Like that's very readable, and it's a little suppressed against the 100% black.
Yeah, well, you're doing a laser printer there, print. So
yeah, but you're definitely pushing it. You want to have it. That balloon and dialogue needs to be in the distance. That's what your effect is trying to go for.
So here's the thing. You know how in this story we have all of these teammates of the Duke that are on intercom and they're all talking and you can't
Oh,
see
yeah. Right.
So how about if we were to color code all of the word balloons in a different tint so that maybe it made a little more sense?
All right.
Now, I don't expect the reader to follow along with that, but at least it's a little more intentional for us in the storytelling to to have that where they all have their own little like tint of word balloon, right? So like this is the drone smith talking, so he'll have a gray tint, or this is Atisha talking, she'll have like a a lighter tint, like stuff like that. I'm thinking that might be one way to just they might not know who's talking, but they'll get the idea that it's a different person talking. See what I mean? So I'd like to try that out. I'd like to try doing that. And we'll when we do the final like pass, we'll go through like the tints of the word balloons. I'm just using the cloning tool right here that we were talking about. So to our listeners on YouTube Live right now, keep up the great work. I'm new to this channel, so So Dynamo, let us know what your deal is. Are you an artist? Are you a reader? Are you a collector? Are you an aficionado, investor? I'm curious when we show up in people's channel, what they were looking at that that made us come up in their feed, right? Isn't that interesting stuff?
Yeah.
Right, like what did you watch? Did you look? Maybe he was looking at an Alex Turbin broadcast, or maybe he was looking at a Dan Snoke broadcast. I don't know.
Or it could have just been the video game thing, Pit Fighter.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, searching up Turbo Pit Fighter. Oh, somebody was actually looking up the Pit Fighter game.
Well, maybe not looking it up, but it's just the algorithm just creates these associations and guesses.
Right.
Pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is, it's really interesting and fascinating, because YouTube is owned by Google, right? So, they make money and they want, but people, it's not very transparent how they make money.
Advertising.
Right. So like there it's not just advertising though. It's not just advertising. They have clients who pay to follow trends, and they want to know like like the big movie studios, right? If you're getting a lot of word of mouth, then it's a waste of money to invest in advertising, right? So if Google can tell people, you can tell the movie studio, guess what? The number one search was this weekend. It was your movie. Then they can say, wow, we're gonna take $100,000 out of our advertising budget and spend that on something else. Like it's they have clients that want to know what people are talking about, and it could be the latest Jordan sneakers, or it could be did you see that that the Steelers game yesterday? It could be anything, but they make money by having this information, and that's the great benefit that they have of data mining. And a lot of this doesn't hurt the end user. Like it doesn't hurt us if people find out that we're talking about this new Pixar movie that came out, right? They're just collecting that data and selling it to their clients because they're looking at trends. That doesn't hurt us. So some of these things are not as controversial as others, right? But but there are plenty of things that do hurt us, and and I just think it's a shame that we still have an advertisement based economy. I think we've spoken about this a million times, but instead of just having micropayments where you could pay the creators directly and watch commercial free stuff, we have this insane system where they're going to guess about something that you may or may not have any interest in, and make you watch an ad and make you wait for the skip button to appear so that you can make the ad disappear and get it out of your life, right? That's our model, and some of these other countries are like, no, let's invest in young people, creating creating art, and then we'll just pay for it, right? Like that's to me that's a really big difference. So I would love, I've said it many times, I would love to see a working micropayment model
Oh, you
where
and me both.
yeah. And
I'm still a big fan of the blockchaining.
well, blockchain is usually referring to crypto, but you can have a direct payment model, that goes to creators, that compensates creators, easy enough.
So
um,
Dynamo just responded. He's a board and card game designer.
oh wow.
Nothing in self-publishing. Has 80 different comics from 1999 to 2024. So he's probably in our age bracket, which is mid 50s.
We're up there. Some of us are on the
Oh,
higher
God.
mid 50s.
Oh, God. Yeah, you're going to be 60 real soon, aren't you?
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
Actually, it's only going in one direction, I notice.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I feel young and I act young, and I'm a comic nerd, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah, so there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of intersection in gaming and the card racket. I don't know too much about the card racket too much, but usually it's other properties that cross over, right? It's not just like here's
Well,
an
the big game card thing is Magic the Gathering. So there could be something uh, going on there.
started out as cards, but then it you crossed over, like I say, into other medium, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
go ahead and Dynamo, feel free to plug your stuff.
yeah,
See
yeah.
what it's about.
Please.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, there we are seeing we are seeing this micropayment system in a lot of different. I mean, just the basic idea of paywalls now. That is a micropayment system, and it does come up. So some people complain about that because usually it's like a magazine or a newspaper that you want to read, but you can't. But then all of a sudden you're paywalled, and I noticed that Washington Post went paywall a long time ago. New York Times. Sometimes they give articles for free, sometimes not. But you know, if you like something, support it for God's sakes. I just
Yeah,
saw.
but I just saw something just to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
When watching all these things about technology and the past meeting up with the future, we have fallen into a internet gives us everything for nothing.
Not everything. It gives us a lot, and it used to give us.
But the mentality is there, though. I suffer from it. If not
Yeah.
free, cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. You want stuff now,
Yep.
and you want stuff free, right?
Yep.
Free and now. Yeah.
Free and
So
now.
we have been, I guess, inculcated into that over a long period of time. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. But well, you need a killer app that's going to shake that, and break that. And we could have that, and it could be. I mean, look at the Marvel comics thing. If they have this giveaway where you just pay one price and you can look at every Marvel comic in the world ever made, right? They still have that.
Don't
That's
know.
still a thing. Yeah, well, they used to have that, right?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Marvel comics.
Well, I'm just right. I know, and neither is anybody else because they're not doing much business with that. But the idea is that if you could monetize somehow, your creative wares, then that would be better than the ad based economy that we suffer with right now. I mean, I watch YouTube all the time, and I'm just sitting there watching these ads, and it drives you nuts, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I have to admit, I do. If I really like a channel, I let the ad play all the way through because that increases their
Why do you
revenue
do
for
that?
because it increases the revenue for the person. It's an easy way to.
How do
It's
you
an
know if
easy.
they're monetizing?
Well, you don't. But I'm guessing you have to turn the switch on. So you do have. There's a monetization
Right.
once. Like we could do it right now. Not right this second, but I can go into and I could turn on monetization. I can run the monitoring system. I could ask for,
Yeah.
I can go through that whole entire thing
Yeah.
and
One
then
day we will.
assign a bank account to it. And Bob's your uncle, we're starting to generate, 13
Yeah.
cents a year in ad revenue. But there's people out there. I'm not saying that they're dependent upon the revenue, but it is a part of their source of income.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's not killing me to let it 55 seconds run on a stupid Viagra ad or whatever it is, and they see what, like a micro penny or something like to it. But it makes me just feel like, I just don't want to act when it comes to, I'm getting hypersensitive about independent creators that are making videos and the authenticity that's there. I want to create some kind of support. Like there are videos too where Drawn Sword and Level 9 Drow, they do like 15 to 20 minute videos of them drawing a character and stuff like that. Now, when somebody watches the video all the way through, that's a huge thumbs up to YouTube. So I just run the videos in the background. And sometimes for people, I'll do, what do you call it? Like I'll just let it play video after video for
right.
like
So
an
you
hour.
see, right? I'm going to complain about this because you're trying to be nice. You're trying to do a nice thing for a
Yeah,
creator,
yeah.
right? Wouldn't you rather buy a T-shirt, or wouldn't you rather, like,
No, no, and
you know,
I'm not doing the
give
Patreon
them a
thing anymore.
nickel?
I'm not.
Wouldn't
No,
you rather, like, say, like, I approve a nickel, for
nope,
this guy?
nope.
For drawn sword, you wouldn't rather, like, give these guys like a tip or
It's not
something?
enough. It's not enough, and it becomes then it persuades the individual to try to improve upon the video making skill on YouTube in order to get more monetization. I want them to make more videos and have me just basically be the one person that plays the video all the way through, so it then suggests their video to somebody else, and then somebody else might come along and be like, oh man, drawn sword, I wonder if he does comics, and he does, and I wonder if I can get one. Oh shit, he's in New Zealand, I'm in the US, let me see if I can find a drawn sword in the US. Hey, by the way,
Yeah. And
you
yeah,
can get one of drawn swords. I only have like four left, but these are the dark concept art. No, I sell them on CrimeTheBarbarian.com.
Right, but it's
so
about the end users.
But that's what it is. So then selling should only be about 10% of your effort in trying to monetize yourself. The other 90% should be building a fan base, a tried and true fan base that trusts you and obviously loves what you do. And Drawn Sword is one of my ultimate favorites in the way of like a find. I did a sword and sorcery find on him. Just a Google search, sword and sorcery, on Google, and just click and click and click, and then found his drawnsword.graphics.blogspot.com website. And I fell in love, and then with his work, reached out to him, and then had him do a variant cover for my 2024 Crown collection. So as a matter of fact, you can see that here. Where are you? Here it is. And that's more important than trying to sell T-shirts. I think that's so that was the cover that Drawn Sword did of Crom, his version of Crom. That was then a virgin cover for Crom Collected 2024. This is my opinion, vision, and efforts in order to see independent creators grow. We can't grow primarily financially. That's not that's not the horse in front of the cart. The horse in front of the cart is not only making the best work, but creating a fan base and a genre and group of people. That's way more sustainable than, I'm gonna make a T-shirt and I'm gonna make a blah 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 and I'm gonna sell them. And no, it's tough. It's tougher to do that than it is to make a comic book.
Well, whatever your product is, some people
don't make products.
Some people make music. Some people make videos. Some people make, posts, right? Like we have this whole attention economy now. Some people's like an influencer, and they cook or they make recipes or whatever. Some people are just like the thing I never understood is the women that have millions and millions of hits on their videos, and they're just putting on their makeup, right? Right? Like I'm still trying to figure that out. But
you're not a woman, and you don't wear makeup.
Well, I don't know if it's women that are watching those things.
Good boy, Jay. Good boy.
So whatever it is, people, just people finding their audience. But I think I think the bad guys are the YouTubes. I mean, I do try to praise them for the tools that they do, allow us for free. But Google is one of the biggest, most valuable market capitalization companies in the world and the history of the world, and they wield incredible power. I've heard of creators that get deplatformed in the middle of the night, after they cultivated a following for years or decades, and they, and because some rule now, or some payment procedure, didn't go through or whatever, and these people are high and dry, and there's nowhere to call. There's no customer service. There's, it's all automated. There's like 12 guys in Silicon Valley that are just, have banks and banks of machines that are just running, 24/7. So, I just wish there was a little bit more of what we see in the other countries. Sometimes it's government intervention. Sometimes it's just like angel investors. Sometimes it's collectives. Like that's what you and I are trying to actually do is, try to, you're curating good art and,
Yep.
from other people, and you're
Yep.
basically forming like an informal collective.
Yep.
So, all these different ways of going about it. But, at the end of the day, it's people that want to, enjoy creative, art, and they need a way to finance it so that the person can make more. That's all we're talking about here. So looking at the comments here for Dymino, it's not Dynamo, it's Dymino Monsters.
Sorry.
Epic fantasy tabletop board and card game, hand drawn in black ink and hand colored isometric perspective view playmats on white poster boards. 21 years in game development. One person company, one man band. I assume it's a guy. I don't know. I put it in Google and I don't get anything. So how can we people find your playset board, Dymino Monsters? If it's it's not on Google, it says, "Yep, I'm a guy." Right. What are you on any platform where people can find your stuff? Go ahead and let us know if we can give any service.
Amplify the signal.
That's right. Send them your way. And who else? Yeah, we were talking to somebody else. Oh, no, we were going over that. Remember we were doing comics that influence, and we found that artist that was doing those indies a long time ago, like I think the early 80s. And they had this amazing world they created with like elven lore, and it turned out that they had a pretty popular
Oh yeah, and I bought the comic too. Oh
gaming.
gosh, yeah, that was so cool. I was flipping out about that.
Yeah, there were, and I think they, right? Was that the Demi the Demoness artist that was doing that?
Oh, it might have been.
Right. Right. So they had their gaming set, right? And sometimes you see them on eBay where you can buy a copy, but I don't know, everything's different. How to find this stuff. I had quit Facebook in July, so Google search dropped my stuff. Oh wow. Well, Kurt always says the best thing is have your own website. So
hallelujah, hallelujah.
But you need to know the exact URL, otherwise you can't just stick it in Google. It's amazing.
Yeah, but if you searched Dynamo Monsters card game,
I just did.
But I'm saying if there's a website, then you should come up right then and there. Like I'm dominating Crom the Barbarian searches because I own cromthebarbarian.com. It's just that simple.
No, it's telling me. Did you?
You could have direct retail. You could have direct retail distribution, so he's not worried about online sales or being a purveyor of online sales. So he has the distribution all worked out.
It reminds us not everything in the entire world is internet based. I guess.
Thank God.
Right. but but so much is really. I mean, we're talking as two people that have been on YouTube for like 3 years. so
Yep.
obviously our eggs are in that basket, but yeah, just happy to see another creative. That's all.
Heck yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try to clean up these word balloons, and then I think I can flatten this whole Dargon uh, page and call it a day. I'm seeing this kind of like this black silhouette image here of the bad guy.
Yeah.
This might be a good place for credits if Alex wants to put his credits in there.
Ooh, good idea.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be that big if if it's tasteful. But those will be like kind of like the last minute things we do.
Yep.
See if I can stretch this one out. How is Alex doing anyway?
Last time I talked to him, he's doing very well.
Yeah, it's good. We have Alex on every once in a while just to do a catch up. Alex was great. We had him on, and we talked about a collab, and he went through the stuff on the Doom Mag website, and he picked a character, and I sent him a script. He penciled the script and inked it, and then Curtis coming in and doing some further.
Well, he did more pencils than inks. I think I'm doing the inks.
Well, he inked it with basic line art.
Yeah, like pencils. It's just information dumping.
Right. Well, I thought he used some kind of marker to go over pencils. No.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like I categorically would just put it as just that, like just penciling, like it was just that's all it was. That it was just layouts. You know what I mean?
Right, layouts, breakdowns. There's a couple of different words for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely doing what you're doing. I would call finishes. Finishing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I agree. I'm the one that finishes. I'm going to start marketing myself next year as that person. Yeah. Because I started marketing myself as the inker, and then you came along.
Yeah.
And then I find that I'm more finisher than inker. But
you're a grayscale inker and grayscale. But that's not a word. Yeah, that's not a word. Yeah. So yeah, finishes. I would say maybe.
All right, so Jake, we're coming to the end of our 3 hours. I just want to put my little end of the show update here. So I have 3 pages completed. Page 1, which you have, and you're doing all the magic that we had laid out in there. This morning, today, I've worked on page 2. I did page 3 first. I'll explain why. So it's in your little noodle. There's going to be some touch-ups. I have to still get like some whiter miss on the borders and stuff. But, things are coming along. This is like 99% done. And then what got me started this morning is that we had talked an episode or 2 ago about you doing your fancy graphics on the newspaper. And so I told you I was going to basically just gray out. And what I had done was I've been playing with these paint markers, and so I've been really wanting to get them involved in the inking process, the finishing process, as you will. So I was like, oh, let me see what happens here. Bingo! And then a little bit of gray color pencils, but then threw it up here, which really, really, really creates a nice gray flat value. And just so everybody knows, once again, I'll repeat this till the day I die, I make colorful looking gray value work, but I want to see it come down into just black print. So a good example is, where are you? Here we are. So this it? Yeah, yeah. So I just released in Thanksgiving of this year, 2025, the first Crom anthology, which is still available. A couple days are left on the $5 off the cover price. At the beginning of January, they will go up to their cover price, which is $35. 256 pages, black and white, sword and sorcery goodness. Myself and what is it? 13 other people. I keep forgetting the number. And it's 9 living contributors, and I think 4 or 5 passed on contributors. So some great stuff. But here's a great example. Well, here, I'll show you. Oh, yeah. So in how the pages I in my mind's eye will translate. So the first story printed here is my Crom Daring. I've already put the pages away. But if you look at this, this is just black ink on cream paper. So it's not even white. So the idea is, in my thinking, in making my pages, I use color. I use a lot of instruments in order to create 2 things: a value of gray, black and white, 2 gray, but also a texture that will also come through. So if you look at this, there's a color pencil, right here is black color pencil, white paint marker. I then sprayed for the water, the splashing water right at the end, gouache. These are my white paint marker lines, the Artistro paint marker lines. This is hand lettered onto the page. That's how I love working. So it all becomes one cohesive work. So my brain's constantly working to what is it going to look like when it goes to print. And I have to say, I did 3 stories and a bunch of pinups. 4. So here was another story I did, same kind of process. So they look colorful, especially with that flat, cool gray paint brush marker. But when what happens is that's going to flatten, and it's going to be a real flat gray. And I can't wait to see that. In contrast to what you'll see in the gray water-soluble graphite wash that comes in after the lines. So if you're a sword and sorcery fan, comic book fan, especially in the indies, black and white fan, this is where you're going to want to jump in. The back portion is 56 pages of it's like a phone book, if you will, to find other people who are also making an amazing. And I also have, which will be announced next week, not this coming week, but the first week of January, whole week, more specific information about collaborations and contributions to Crom Anthology number 2 and 3 that will be planned for launch in 2026. But other than that, Jake, love to get these people back to making comics if they choose, but most importantly, reading and supporting them. What do you got?
Right on. So thanks for viewing us today. See you next Sunday. You can check out our other channels. We have the Comics That Influence, which is our flip throughs. We do great comics. We started out with the first 20 issues of Commandy and went from there. All kinds of indie stuff in there. Check it out if you haven't seen them all. And we do our interviews with indie creators. And we just got through going through, I don't know, half a dozen or a dozen creators that we met at the IC3 IndieCon. So check out our other channels, all on our YouTube landing page. And we'll see you guys back here next Sunday around 10 o'clock Eastern. Thanks to everybody that contributed in the comments. Feel free to jump in and chime in again next time. See you guys next Sunday. Peace out.
See you next Sunday, Jake.